Christina and Nicole here. Today we are going to talk about the fun topic of mold. We do see that quite a bit on our tests. And so we're going to go over where you can find mold in unexpected places, what the symptoms might show up as, and how you can take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a big one, and I don't think we think about it. I had a client, actually, he tested for mold, and he was like, oh, you know what? I did drink mold. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, I found that there was mold in my hydro flask. And I was like, one of these. And so it's crazy because it could actually, you don't really realize it. You really need to take all these parts out.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, don't drink them more than a day. Like, you need to take the parts out. So I think that, like, you have to take this little thing off because it can sit, like, right in here. And so you just want to make sure, and, like, you got to really unassemble it because it's really bad.
Yeah, it was funny because he was a teenager and we thought he was being like a smart aleck. He's like, oh, it's probably from that time I drank mold. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, I literally thought.
He's like, no, from my water bottle. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because and so then you don't think about it. Like, there's so many hidden places, like coffee. Coffee's a big one. Starbucks, I know you all love it. It's not good for you anyways, because all that little oil part, that's all toxins. But they're filled with mold. Like this, they have to clean out their machines.
Yeah. But even beyond the machines, that's why it's good to have your coffee at home anyways. Just when they're processing the beans, there are different foods and things that are higher in mold content, just like peanuts are high in mold, cashews are high mold. But the coffee beans itself, when they're processing them, because they are moist and they're all just sitting together, they can gather mold. And so you want to look for brands that actually do mold testing. This is Life Boost Coffee, and we have a code with them. We'll link it below. I believe it's Golden 20, but I'll double check and I'll link it in our description below. But they're companies that do their due diligence and do third-party testing to make sure there's mold, that their beans are mold-free.
And the thing with it is I know that it seems like we seem to be getting picky, and it always seems like we're always talking about things, but honestly, like, knowledge is power, and it takes a village. And so I never even thought about, like, the mold that's in the hydro flask. I never even thought about, gosh, you should probably, because it's a pain in the rear end. Nobody wants to take apart a cup. I don't. I mean, I drink out of glass bottles, so I don't do it anyways. But my daughter drinks out of them, and I don't want to take it. But we do. You have to, and you have to, you have to soak them, and you have to do all the things, and soak in vinegar, and just this stuff to get the mold out. And another thing, even like the glass bottles, people reuse glass bottles. You need to wash them with soap because people will reuse those, or even any bottle. A lot of people reuse them. They just fill it up with more water, and you're literally, you get all of that will sit in there, like all your germs and all your bacteria and stuff have sit in there, and then it just forms like form mold.
Yeah, and also just getting eyes on your bottle, because I got a new one the other day and it was just so happened a part popped off, and I'm like, where did that come from? And it was like a little rubber ring that I didn't even realize was in the bottle. And I looked and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that was like a part of the bottle. So sometimes you just gotta, do your little extra due diligence to make sure you're getting in the crevices. So many people are sick these days and they go with all these unanswered things. Like, we hear time and time again of going to the doctors, having all of these issues, and doctors being like, well, your labs look fine. It's like, okay, well, I don't feel fine. It could be something as simple as making sure that you're not drinking out of moldy bottles and ingesting mold on the daily.
I know a lot of people love peanut butter. I love peanut butter. I love it. But really, like, it can sit in there because they're moldy, like, all nuts. Like, even, like, I had no idea, but, like, pistachios. I love pistachios.
That one made me sad because I love pistachios.
I know. But, we're not trying to crap you out, and we're going to go through a list, but these are just the major ones that we wanted to bring up because they're kind of a big deal, and you just want to make sure, because once it gets into your body, it can really wreak havoc on you. And, and especially now during, like, allergy seasons when your histamines are up, you want to make sure that you're eating stuff that's not causing your histamines to be so, inflared, because when your immune system gets jacked and it starts to get overloaded, then everything starts to kind of go awry, and it just is not, it's not good.
This is why it's also good to test and see if you have this issue, because if you don't have mold as an issue, definitely always make sure you're doing mold-free coffee, just because that's good, and to do organic coffee is just good for you anyways. Like, say you don't have a mold issue, and you know that because you've been tested, you could just make sure that, okay, if you are enjoying pistachios, it's not every day for the rest of your life. It's, make sure you get a variety of foods. Like, you're not just doing pistachios, you're doing other foods that aren't containing mold. So just getting that variety in. But on the flip side, it is important that if you do the testing and you realize you have a mold issue and your body is struggling with it, then you would want to completely avoid these foods. It would really help you to avoid these foods.
Yes, because once it's there, then it just starts exasperating. Like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger because it will find its host and then it just continues to build. So you just want to kind of stay away. We're not trying to crap you out. We're really not. We just wanted to talk about it because it really seems like it's just a bigger deal. But when we tell people when they have mold on the test, they automatically think it's in their house, but it could be anywhere. It could be on your fruit. And to be quite honest, you got sick from that, or because it had bacteria on it, you got sick.
It was bacteria.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, bacteria is a big one too, just with any of these things. I got a foodborne illness that was similar to E. coli, but just same thing. You want to make sure it could go hand in hand with mold too, making sure your fruits and vegetables are washed properly, making sure that your bottles are washed properly, that you just don't want to be ingesting these things because not only can you get the mycotoxins, which wreak havoc on your body and your brain. Like a lot of people have brain issues from it. It can disrupt your gut and the balance of bacteria. You could have mold exposure, and that mold exposure can actually cause then a candida overgrowth. They can all be intertwined to each other.
To simplify it, we're just going to go through the list. We just wanted to hit the letters first.
Those ones that we listed are ones that people usually are like, okay, where do I look in my house? And they'll hire someone to find mold in the house. So that one is pretty more well known. We just wanted to hit on those little things that people don't think about or that they might not think is a big deal. But we have a list of in the home, just if you want to check it out for yourself, we always recommend hiring a professional because they have stuff to gauge.
And we have a great person because some of them out there can tell you. They can be fear mongers, and so they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you have," and you don't know. It's like going to the dentist. They tell you have you have to put a crown on it. You can't see in your mouth. You don't know. So they'll tell you that they have mold, and it's really not as bad as it is. And the woman that I use, the company, I love her because I've had actually mold in 2 houses, and I'm like, "Are you sure it's not there?" And she literally is like, "No, and I'm not going to test it because it's not there." So I love her for that because she's just honest and she's all about making sure that your home is clean, but you're also you don't have to spend a fortune because she knows. So
yeah, and so we are in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area. So if you're in that area, let us know. We can send you that recommendation. But this is just a general list of where it could be in your home. So obviously behind walls. You always want to keep an eye out for any water damage, especially around windows, or even you start noticing cracks in your outdoors roof area. Usually will come and trickle on your wall. You just want to keep an eye out for that. Under sinks and behind toilets, air vents, on windowsills and around condensation prone areas, ceiling tiles, drywall that's gotten wet, carpet padding after spills or floods. Oh, that's a big one if you still have carpet. Around baseboards, especially in humid climates, under or behind washing machines and dishwashers and refrigerators. Oh, I didn't even think about behind dishwashers or refrigerators.
Speaking of, even the washer.
Yeah.
So, when we first hired our housekeeper, that was the first thing she did was she pulled out the stuff in our washer. It was disgusting. There was mold. There was mold all the way back, and she pulled it. I didn't even know that she pulled. Remember, she pulled all those parts out.
Yeah.
And so now she cleans it once every 2 months or we clean it because you have to stay on top of it. So that's another one. If your clothes are starting to get icky or stinky, that's a part. But and then it sits on your skin, and then all these people that have skin issues, that could be part of the problem.
Yeah, definitely check out your washer, especially if it's a front loader. Make sure you always have that door open. Mine has a little pole drawer where you pour I keep that open too.
Oh, that's smart.
Because if it's closed, it's not always draining like you would a top loader, and so those get extremely moldy.
That's where the mold was, where she found it all. It was pretty disgusting. Yeah. And then she did it in the dishwasher, and there's a filter in there. I didn't even know there was a filter. And that had it too, and it's just because it wasn't clean, but it's so gross. And it's washing my dishes. So if it's washing my dishes, but then it's leaving mold remnants, and then I'm eating it, I'm drinking on it, and your forks, and so just dishwashers and the washers are something to really pay attention to too.
Yeah, anything that constantly has liquid in it. This is a good point too, is humidifiers and diffusers. A lot of people use that, and they're great, especially diffusers. But a lot of people go so long without cleaning them. And if you notice, they start getting that buildup around it. That could be bacteria and mold.
It usually looks like a little pink or reddish,
Yeah.
and you can totally tell immediately.
Yeah. And people, they let it go, but they don't realize that then you're breathing that in consistently. That's then mixing in with the water and you're breathing it in. And especially people like to have them. I personally like to have it in my room at night. So it's like dousing my face as I'm sleeping. So you have to be diligent on cleaning those as well.
Yeah, yeah. And your makeup brushes, because, you know, even those sponges,
Oh, yeah.
like, I don't even know. I really feel like they should be called one-time use sponges because that's gross.
I know. I probably use mine too much.
I don't use any of them. I use my fingers. But that's probably, I don't know. I don't have to do my makeup anyways. But towels.
So if you're having like, especially if you have like teenagers or kids or whatever, and they're leaving all their towels and they're all wet and they're sitting on the ground, sometimes you'll notice they'll get musty smelling, and that's because they're getting moldy. I feel like most grown-ups are good at this, but sometimes like if you forget your laundry in the washer and it starts to get musty, it's because it's getting moldy. So you want to make sure with your towels that you're hanging them up properly after you use them, because if they're clumped up on the floor, they'll start to get moldy and carry mold too.
Yeah, and like, oh, and the one thing that I didn't even think about this, but rice. So leftovers, when you put leftovers in the refrigerator, you got to really pay attention to that too, because anything that has moisture, it can create the mold pretty quickly, and you don't even really realize it.
This is interesting too for your pets. I never think about their toys, because I've actually like washed my dog's toys before, and now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of dog toys have squeakers in them, and that's plastic. And so when you dry them, or however you try to dry them, I'm sure they don't get all the way dry, and I'm sure those squeakers hold mold too. So just like caring about our pets and thinking about their exposure to mold and making sure that their beds are staying dry. Who knows if they get water on them, or, you know, dogs get dirty or messy or whatever. If any of the beds get moisture, sometimes they have accidents. Like, you just want to make sure all of that is clean and dry as possible, because that can harbor mold too.
Yeah, yeah, and like the cheese and the meats and stuff like that you have out, or even if you have it out and then you put it back away, anything that's sat out, I usually don't put it back in the refrigerator, because one, it's got bacteria on it. It's sat out for whatever, like 3 hours for a party or whatever, but then also once you put it back in, it's reacclimating to that cold, and it creates mold, and so then and bacteria, and which is not good either.
So in the foods category, we already went over coffee and peanuts and pistachios. Cashews are also a high mold food, just to be aware of. Corn and corn-based snacks. Corn can be moldy. So it kind of seems like the theme is like a lot of type of grain or oily nuts. Anywhere that it will sit and can gain moisture, it's all, if you think about it, it's all just like compact with each other and getting moisture in it, so it could just harbor a lot of bacteria and mold. So, and that's interesting because corn is like a really big allergy for people.
I know, and it's in so many things.
Yeah, and same with wheat and just grains in general. Dried fruit like raisins, dates, and figs.
I know, and I love dates, but I've never seen mold on them, but I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I know. So, now that we've crapped you out, now we're going to talk to you what the symptoms could be. It really can affect your brain and mood. Mostly, it really does affect your brain and your mood and your gut. But brain fog, poor memory, trouble concentrating, anxiety, depression, mood swings, increased sensitivity to light and sound, insomnia. It affects your breathing. So when you're sleeping, it affects all of that. Lungs and respiratory, sinus congestion, chronic cough and wheezing, shortness of breath and chest tightness, exacerbation of your asthma, recurrent infections, gut and digestion, bloating. That's a big one too.
Yeah,
Bloating.
I feel like the most common one we see in our practice is gut issues for sure. A lot of people who have allergy type symptoms, I feel like brain fog is probably one of the top ones we see a lot. A lot of people surprisingly get like anxiety type symptoms, but I feel like that goes hand in hand with like your gut being thrown off, because your gut's your second brain. But yeah, definitely gut issues, bloating, because it causes a lot of inflammation. Some people could get very achy, just like lethargic and very chronically tired.
If you have autoimmune and there's mold, you definitely will know you've got mold, because it'll make you feel like total crap.
Yeah, we see mold paired up with candida a lot, which also then carries its own set of symptoms.
And so, how you can protect yourself is reduce the exposure, right? And so we're not asking you to go and look around, but like the sippy cups and the hydro flasks, that's something to be aware of. And like she was saying, like little rings, those even sit in Tupperware and they get gross. So that too, like is one. And then also like at home, clean your coffee maker. Like clean out your coffee maker, because you may not be going out to Starbucks or somewhere to get the coffee, but even at home, it could be sitting in your coffee maker, which is why a lot of people are using the French presses now.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that yet. I don't know. I feel like I just need to push a button. Or maybe I will. And let's see, fix any leaks immediately. So if there is a leak, because you just never know. What happened to us is we have like a bench and there's a cushion underneath it, and I had some pillows, and every time it would rain, we'd have this leak. I didn't know it was leaking, but it was going into the windowsill. And literally there was mold that grew underneath it, and we had no idea. But once you start seeing it, like just start paying attention, and you'll know, because the wood part will start to chip, and it'll start to you'll be able to see that.
Yeah, the reason why we want to hit home of like, you need to find the source, and then also once you know that you have mold, like eliminate anything containing mold with foods and things like that, is because if you're having an issue with mold, your body will not begin to heal unless you stop the exposure to all of it. It's something that feeds on itself, so it doesn't matter even if you do the best detox that money can buy. If you're still having the exposure daily, you're not going to get better, you're not going to heal. That's why we're so adamant, and we always feel bad when mold comes up, because we know it's a pain in the butt, but it's so worth to get rid of and find and just be done with it for forever, hopefully forever, because you won't be able to start healing until you can just get rid of it.
Yeah, and another way to notice is if you go away. So say if you're in the moldy environment, say it's at home, and then you go away, typically the symptoms go away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So you'll know there, like, so say that you're at home and you're feeling this way, and then you go on vacation for a couple of days or whatever somewhere, you'll know. Like, you can tell pretty quickly. Once you remove yourself from the environment, it goes away pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's not been one person that has had mold show up that hasn't found the source. Like, we always get the report back of like, we had it checked out, and here's where it was. Oh my gosh, this is where it was. But then they're able to start healing. Yeah. So it's always, we feel bad, but we're happy that they can start moving in a better direction.
Well, and the other thing too is that, and I thought this, is that because we live in Arizona, we think it's a dry heat, and so that if anything gets wet, we think that it automatically, it's going to dry it right up immediately. And actually, my daughter's air conditioner unit had leaked, and the guy was like, "Oh no!" The guy they fixed it, he's like, "Oh no, we're in Arizona, it'll dry right up." Well, it didn't. It actually was super bad, and it goes super quick. Like, it spreads like wildfire. So it's actually, and she had Stachybotrys, black mold in her room, so it was bad. Humidifier, so I was making it worse. So, but I'm just saying, just because we live in a dry heat does not mean that it's gonna dry it right up. It's not. It's actually worse.
Yeah, same with like new builds. Like, we've had people be like, "Well, my house is a new build. I don't think it's in there." That's not true at all. Like, you have to think of how long it takes to build a house, and when it's raining and everything's opened up, it does not. Your house is more prone to getting wet and exposed to the elements because it's open for some time. It's in the process of being built, so sometimes it will get rained on, it will settle into the wood and places like that. So just because you're in a new build does not mean that your house does not have mold.
Right. So that's the skinny on that.
Yeah.
And then replace and clean your air filters regularly. That's a big one too. And you can actually sometimes see it in the air filters, which is kind of gross.
Yeah, so if you have a suspicion and you can't get it remediated right away, we would recommend getting a air cleaner and have it in the area that, like, say it's in your bedroom and you can't do anything. Hopefully you can maybe not sleep in your bedroom, but things happen. But you could get an air cleaner and just help yourself a little more if you can't avoid the area.
I love the Air Doctor because it's a HEPA filter and it seems to really get the job done. And then, ways to detox, right? So binders, activated charcoal, they're really good. Chlorella. But, with the chlorella, you have to check with your practitioner because some of that stuff can exasperate, like even if you're like pregnant, or if you're, maybe not if you're pregnant, but I don't think so actually. But if you do have like cancer or something, chlorella is actually not good. They just, spirulina is. But liver support, milk thistle, dandelion, root tree, cruciferous vegetables.
Basically anything that promotes natural detox, sweating, making sure you're going to the bathroom,
Infrared
all of
sauna,
that.
yeah.
But we do, our go-to is Cellcore. They have a specific detox or cleanse, if you will, that's like focused on mold. They also have, we love Cellcore because they have different kind of binders, and their different binders bind different toxins and things like that. So like they have one that specifically helps bind mold so you can clear it easy. And usually what affects people in their health is called mycotoxins. So it helps bind the mycotoxins and clear them out. So if you want that recommendation, just reach out to us and we can send you the link, because you have to be a practitioner to sell it, so we can give you our practitioner code. But we really like that one. That's usually what we suggest to our clients.
Yeah, and like infrared saunas, like she was saying, sweating, dry brushing, that is good. I mean, I dry brush every day because it gets your lymphatic system moving, so then that makes everything else move. Make sure you're hydrating with electrolytes, because that moves everything in your body. Because if you're not drinking anything, then nothing's moving. And so it's all just staying there.
And that helps you poop. Pooping is important. Whatever you have going on that you need, I mean, just even if you don't have anything going on, you need to poop every day. And whether you have a parasite or mold or whatever, if you need to poop, it's so important. It's our body's natural detox. Like everybody like buys these fancy teas. You just need to poop, because if you're doing any sort of detox and you're not pooping, your body is circulating those toxins and it's not going anywhere. You gotta clear them out.
Like, yeah, it's got to come out somewhere.
Yeah.
And then gut support. Like you can do like bone broth. That's really good. Glutamine is really good. And a quality probiotic is super important too.
Yeah.
And so we have all those recommendations too that we'll put in our little show notes so that you guys will have them. But we just wanted to, you know, raise awareness with the mold, because nobody likes to talk about it, because it's not a fun subject. It's not a quick fix. But there are so many things that can help you prevent from getting it. And that's what we were trying to educate on.
Yeah, and some people don't realize how big of a deal it is. And like I said earlier, like I feel like some people have these issues and they are at a loss because their doctor may have never said what about mold or tested them for mold. Like that's not a very common test.
They rarely test them for mold.
Yeah.
Or parasites.
Or they might not think that's a thing. It's hard to get certain doctors on board with stuff. But like I have a good friend who, she just started having crazy migraines and all of a sudden was like chronically fatigued and she couldn't do anything. And she ended up finding out that she got really bad mold exposure from her job. And yeah, it's like a whole thing. But she's been on a long road to recovery from it. And she didn't know it was mold for the longest time. So yeah, even if we could give this information for you to like be like, whoa, maybe that's what's going on with me, we really suggest getting tested. We're here in Scottsdale, so we can do in-person testing, but we also have mail-in kits. So if you're not in the area, again, reach out to us and we could get you set up with that. But yeah, the first step is to know. And it's the quicker you know, the better you can help yourself.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So we hope that we have given you some great tips and some great things to think about. I would really just make sure you're cleaning those hydro flasks and those sippy cups.
And pooping.
And pooping.
It's important. Yes. But if you have any questions on this or anything, or again, any of the things we mentioned, reach out to us. We're always here to help. We love to help. And we'll see you in our next video.